Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wonderful people, lovers of freedom all over the world, and welcome to Expose News TV. Now, let us go straight up to the news without wasting any of your time. Now, breaking news: Kenyan government threatens the Nigerian government with ICC action over abduction of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. ICC is the International Criminal Court. Yes, this issue has actually been lingering for a very long time, and the reality is that in as much as this information has not been fully verified, but I can tell you via 70% that Kenyan government are dragging the Zoological Republic of Nigeria to the International Criminal Court in Hague over the part they played in the abduction of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. We all know how the case is going. We all know the part that the Kenya government played, and this whole thing has affected the Kenyan government because, honestly speaking, you cannot eat your cake and have it. And how did it affect them? Now, international communities and international investors are scared of investing with Kenya because most of them, due to the awareness that this whole Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's shenanigan cost, it has actually dragged Kenya into the international phase. They now see Kenya as an unsafe country, a country that is not safe for investors and business. Now let us go fully into the news in detail before we drop the video of the Kenya president Ruto. Now, the news: the Kenyan government has officially filed a lawsuit against the Nigerian Zoological Republic of Animal Kingdom. Yes, demanding the immediate return of Nnamdi Kanu to Kenya. Yes, they are demanding Mazi Nnamdi Kanu be returned back to Kenya. Now, we continue. Authorities in Nairobi have condemned what they describe as an unlawful and hostile operation in which the Nigerian agents allegedly infiltrated Kenya and forcefully abducted Kanu without the knowledge or consent of the Kenya government. This is actually a big lie. Let's be realistic about that. You can't tell me that the Nigerian government invaded your country, a country as big as Kenya. Not just that, a country, at least I know Kenya has a little bit of international standard when it comes to security. Now, they invaded your country without your knowledge, abducted someone and left your country, and yet you've not said anything for over 5 years. You never condemned this at the initial process. When this whole thing started, they didn't deny it. That was when they could have brought out the whole truth to limelight. Instead, they were proud. They felt Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was just anybody, a common person, just the same way they abduct innocent people. You see countries working together because of the little resources that you are gaining from this country. Do not forget that this is your one and only YouTube channel where you get more information as it is hot. Please make sure you're sharing this video. If you are just joining us, make sure you're sharing. Let Biafrans know what is happening. Now, let us continue with this lie from the Kenya government, because for me, this is lie. They should do the needful. They should do the right thing. You can never eat your cake and have it. We continue. In their West, this act is not only a blatant violation of the international law, but a direct attack on our sovereignty. It is an act of aggression that could be interpreted as a declaration of war. You know what that means? A Kenya government spokesperson stated, We continue. Finally, Kenya further warned the failure to return Nnamdi Kanu immediately will result in Nigeria facing prosecution at the International Criminal Court (ICC). We are rapidly losing international respect and facing global humiliation due to Nigeria's reckless and illegal action. We will not stand by and watch our national integrity being trampled upon. The Kenya spokesperson, the government spokesperson, stated further. Now, like I said, and I clarified earlier, the Kenya government are in for a total disaster. Because, when you commit a crime, an international crime, no matter how you try to hide it, it will definitely explode one day, especially if the person in question is an innocent person. In the case of Nnamdi Kanu, and also if the person in question is internationally recognized, that is, if the person in question is a popular figure. We all know the popularity that Nnamdi Kanu has gathered. Not just that. Let me also clarify to you that Nnamdi Kanu even became more popular during this whole trial, during this whole period that he was in DSS custody, during this whole period that he was abducted, during this whole period that the Zoological Republic of Animal Kingdom failed to do the needful by law. So that international recognition has actually, skyrocketed to so many countries, to the fact that those who are now investors are scared of having any business to do with Kenya. Now let me make you understand. You will not want to do a business with a country or in a country where you're not sure of your safety. That is one thing. A country that cannot protect you, you wouldn't want to put your money or investment in that particular country. That is suicide mission. Is a clear suicide mission, and this is exactly what is happening in the case of Nnamdi Kanu. Like I said earlier, you cannot eat your cake and have it. And that is why, as I'm talking to you currently, the Zoological Republic of Animal Kingdom, Nigeria, are also in big trouble over the issue of Nnamdi Kanu. We have seen what the world is saying concerning the issue of Nnamdi Kanu. We have seen that the zoo is now recognized as a country that rule of law does not exist. Now we are seeing what is happening in the issue of VDM, who is also being held against his own will in this same country that a lot of people have been talking about. On that note, Kenya is already dragging the zoo as it stands. Kenya is already dragging the zoo to ICC, and the zoo cannot survive this. But meanwhile, I want to end this particular news with a very important video of the president of Kenya handling this whole issue. Enjoy, and make sure you're sharing this video to as many groups and platforms as possible.
In empires they themselves did not conquer nor create, but created by a white man to serve the purpose of draining not just our treasury, but our mental capacity forever and ever. What am I trying to say is that as long as Nigeria continues to exist, we would continue to be the last of the very last in the indices of human development right across this very planet Earth. There will be no freedom. You will not have the right to choose those that will represent you. If you remain in Nigeria, if the army doesn't kill you, the police will kill you. If the police doesn't kill you, Fulani terrorists will kill you. If they all fail to kill you, hunger and deprivation will kill you. There is only one solution to kill Nigeria before Nigeria kills everybody else. What is happening in the zoo today is a very clever ploy by Britain. Not all British people, mind you, because there are wonderful people in Britain. But those that are referred to as neo-colonialists. Nigeria was designed to hold us down, everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. Even the Fulani that you think are having fun, most of their people are suffering and crying as well. Only if they can settle down and listen to this very gospel and the ones we have preached before now, they will begin to appreciate our magnanimity. Because we want to save everybody, even beyond the borders of the zoo. We want to save every African man and woman, child, every black person right across this very planet Earth. If they are willing and able to learn, then we all are going to be free. The task is huge, it is enormous. Because our enemies are sophisticated, they are embedded, they control the media. Sometimes they even determine the narrative. They can say that an innocent man is guilty and you all will swallow it. They can say that a guilty man is innocent and all of you will swallow it. That is why it is very, very critical that people are educated, that they understand what is confronting them and be able to develop the ability to counter every move of the enemy. As you all know very well, the zoo, the media, not just in the zoo, but all over the world, they have been bought over, as you all know, very, very clearly. If we fail to do something about our situation, we are all going to drown. We would all perish. Unless you are understanding and discerning enough, you will not know that you are in bondage in the zoo. Our approach to these issues, or should I say my prescription, is tough love, not warm words that get you nowhere. That is why we do things the way we do them. That is why we give you the truth raw. Some people say we are insulting them. Some say we are rude, we are arrogant. We accept. As long as you understand that the message we are seeking to pass across to humanity is the truth. We are the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, under oath, I should say, to restore Biafra. Some people, when you ask them what is their religion, they may tell you we are Christians, we are Jews, we are all the rest of it, Islam, Buddhism, just name it. But we want the world to understand why we are fanatical about Biafra and willing to do even the undoable to ensure that Biafra is restored. Biafra to us is a religion. A religion. It is a way of reasoning and a way of life. We believe that the restoration of Biafra is not in the gift of man to give. No single man can ever give you Biafra. It's impossible. Biafra is the gift of the Most High Elohim to give. How we prepare and position ourselves on this very earth, both physically and spiritually, will determine if God will love us enough to give us his kingdom on the face of this very earth. That was why in his infinite mercy, Eastern Security Network was established to secure our land. And anybody foolish enough, anybody stupid enough to seek confrontation with us, as I have said previously, before you come to look for us, before you enter into our forest to perhaps die there, because you all will perish anyway. Look at Yemen, look at Somalia, and look at Syria. Let them be at the back of your minds. Whoever is charged with making that very decision to launch an armed confrontation against the Eastern Security Network. I'm saying this to the hearing of the whole world. As you all know me, I do not do anything in secret. Everything we do is out in the open. Anybody foolish enough, because I know the Janjaweed, they're very foolish. You know, the Fulani, they have what I call the mentality or the mindset of Mohammed Siad Barre, the erstwhile president of Somalia. They never reason, they never listen. They are not intelligent enough to understand when the end has come. The only people supporting them is Britain. And we are not going to fool ourselves. Britain does wield a very considerable clout. They are taking our oil in our land. Now they have found gold also in the north. So the zoo has never failed, not once in its entire, should I say, 60-year history, to serve the interest of our colonial masters, those that created us. People say God created. I said to them, you are very, very foolish. God never created Nigeria. Man and their own deed. They are mortal flesh and they are dead. The same way they died is how the zoo is going to die. Nobody can save Nigeria. Nobody can, because it is written. How I want people, those who are averse to history, don't understand history very well. Those who claim that, you know, the thing about we black people do something and you get accolade or praise from being you've arrived. That's the one thing about our people. You think once they give you one award or the other, once a white man confers that legitimacy or validity on your work or your talent, you feel you've arrived. One major mistake that black people always make: efforts to divide the East. How has it been possible to keep Nigeria as one, as a failed state that it is, as a terror-ravaged contraption that it is, as an abomination that it is? How have they managed to keep Nigeria together? Look no further than what happened during the End SARS protest. When I preach all the time and I say to black people that your mental weakness, your inability to reason properly is why you are suffering, they say not. They managed to divide those who are protesting by introducing two key elements they know will appeal to their primordial instincts. What are those? Religion and ethnicity. Let me tell you something you don't understand. That is the only instrument the Europeans had to divide and conquer Africa. What they did was to pass it on to the Fulani Janjaweed. And with the help of the Fulefus and traitors in our midst, in the entire South, both Yoruba and in Biafra, both in Oduduwa and in Biafra, it appears that they have managed to now gain the upper hand in the past decades. These continued efforts to divide the East, I can assure them tonight, has failed. And I want our people from Igodomigodo to back up, from our land to Opobo, to understand this. They come to you They plead with you to amplify your ethnicity against one another. It's a very clever trick. Whereas over the years, if not since the coming of this Janjaweed Caliphate government of the late dead Buhari, before now, it was IPOB and Radio Biafra that made it possible for people to distinguish between a Fulani and a Hausa person. Before, I'm sure all of you go back to your history, you see Hausa Fulani, Hausa Fulani. It was on this very platform, painstakingly, we lectured and educated people to understand that Hausa is different from Fulani. The same people who, they're like parasites. The same people who, over the years, we are trying as much as possible to have this cohesion between Fulani and Hausa together as one political bloc. When they come to our land, they tell you you are Efik, you are Ibibio, you are Izon, you are Ishekiri, you are Urobo, that you are different. You must understand the reason why they keep harping on your differences, which in actual fact doesn't exist because we are all one people, is because it makes it easier for them to conquer you. Common sense. They know that if you go to Migodo, Edo State, of course you do. They know that if they come together with Ishekiri, with Urobo, with Izon, with Igbo, with Idoma, with Igala, with Ibanke, everybody, when I say Igbo, I mean Ibanke as well. They know it becomes impossible to penetrate. We become free people. For them to succeed is a very clever ploy, which unfortunately Yoruba media is in support of. And I have warned them repeatedly. I have warned my Yoruba brethren repeatedly that this double game you are playing will consume you. And today they are in Yoruba land killing and taking over their forests. If not for the bravery of Eastern Security Network, I do not think for once that Amotekun would have had the balls, or should I say the courage, to confront Fulani headsmen in their forests. Understand this very cleverly. What they do is very simple. They come to your land as they have done with Hopus or Dema in Imo State. As we understand they have done with George Obiozo this evening. They plant your leaders for you. Your leaders who cannot rise up to challenge their hegemony. That is where I give Yorubaland some credence, or should I say some credit. Because they have not allowed themselves to become as divided and damaged as the East is. Can you imagine for 1 second? I ask you to ponder this for a second. A Fulani governor is interested in relocating all Fulanis across the Sahel, Nigeria, so that the Fulanis can have a country they can call their own home. In the East, there is a governor. Despite being an Igbo man, speaking Igbo, raised as in Igbo setting, he's saying he's not Igbo. I just want, for one, I don't know how to explain this so that people can understand it. I just want for 1 second for people to sit down and ponder this. It's a very simple, it's not a conundrum, it's very easy to untangle. The person telling you that you are from Niger Delta, the person telling you to accentuate your ethnicity or your tribe, as the case may be, the person telling you that you are not related to an Igbo man, the person telling you that you are not Biafra, the person telling you that Efik is different from even Ibibio is different from Anang. Man telling you this is bringing his brothers and sisters from Senegambia, from Mali, from Niger, as Fulani headsmen, as bandits, as terrorists, to come into our country, into our space, to take it over. You, his counterpart in the East, you are doing your level best to make sure you divide your own people. And when you go to some of these people, they will tell you that divided we fall, united we stand. And that was a very clever thing they did. And that was how they managed to divide us, weakening us and making it easier for them to plant Hope Uzodinma without election as Imo State governor, and now to plant George Obiozor as Ohaneze president. I'll get to that later on. Britain knew that the light of Africa will come from the land of Biafra. They all know it all over the world. As I told you earlier, 2 years ago, I told you that I was at a meeting with the UN officials in Geneva. And one of them said to me, it is not that we don't talk about Biafra or want our member states or nations to understand what is going on in the land of Biafra. But as soon as we mention the word Biafra, they all get up and walk away from the room. I announced it here live on this very platform, Radio Biafra. Some of you didn't actually absorb it. Some of you don't know the obstacle that Biafra is facing. You think Biafra is easy to get. No, it is not. No, not at all. The enemies we have outside is uncountable, not because we have done anything wrong, but because Britain realized that with Biafra existing as a free nation, that every black person around the world will become free. They understand that. It's just like when you go to a stream and you don't want people to drink the water coming from that very stream. You go to the source of the water and you pollute it. Because if you come downstream and you pollute it, people can still go to the middle or even to the front to go and fetch clean water. So if you don't want people to drink from a particular stream, you pollute it from the source. They know that the source of freedom for black people, both those in North America, those in South America, those even in Papua New Guinea, those everywhere around the world, they know that Biafra is the key. A free Biafra means that black people all over the world will become free. That was why I said that Biafra is the last miracle. I want you to understand this. All of these obstacles cannot stop us from getting Biafra. It cannot. Instead, it emboldens us. Because the more difficult the process of emancipation, the more enjoyable the outcome when finally freedom comes. If we don't do something, I'm telling everybody, both those in the Middle Belt, those in Yoruba land, go and write down everything I have said in the past. Try and, compare it to what is happening now. You see that we have always been right. If we do not act now, we will become more fragmented. They will conquer us and extinguish us from the face of the earth. As I told you, the Hausa race no longer exists, only by language. Hausa people have nothing now as we speak. They have nothing, only their language. Hausa people no longer have any discernible political system. They have no hold over their future or their lives. They can answer Malam all they like, but their traditional rulers forever and ever will remain an emir. And an emir is a Fulani. In other words, apart from the language, it has now dawned on them. That is why Fulani have now taken to the front seat. And you cannot hear Hausa people even complaining. They know they are finished. They know they are gone. How did they succeed in doing this? Even before the white man came, the Fulani succeeded in dividing the Hausa peasants from their kings, deceived them, took Sokoto from them, and the rest of Hausa land. The only place they couldn't take is present-day Borno, and you can see how they're fighting tooth and nail to take it. Kanu Borno said no. And they are fighting. And they are free, of course, to a limited extent. That is what we all need to do. Therefore, anybody who comes to you to preach one Nigeria, you must go back to educate that very fool. I keep saying it. Anybody who believes in one Nigeria cannot be regarded as an educated person. For the very simple reason, I wrote this a few days ago. You cannot claim to be equal to a white man. A white man can come to Africa to create a country for you, black people in Africa, which means that all of you are incapable of creating a country for yourselves. That is what it means. You have surrendered your future to them. That's number one, for those who believe in one Nigeria. Number two, if you have any self-worth, any self-respect, any regard for human dignity, there is no way you will allow somebody to come all the way from Europe to build a country for you in Africa. I give you a very simple example. There is a place called India. I'm sure that some of you know that India used to be comprised of, I think it's Bangladesh, India itself, Pakistan, Kashmir, and is it Bengal? But this is how human beings reason. And the selfishness you have in the Nigerian political system today did not start today. It started from Azikiwe, Awolowo, and Tafawa Balewa, or should I say Ahmadu Bello. It didn't start today. Selfishness. Why do I say selfishness? Because in India, where you have people, or should I say leaders that loved their people, what did they do? What did they do, I ask you? Upon Britain leaving India, they came together and said, we are not compatible. India, you are predominantly Hindu people. We in Pakistan, we are predominantly Muslims. There is no way we can coexist in the same country. So they sat down and decided to partition upon independence. Any sensible being, which we thought that Dr. Azikiwe was, should have realized, because the Sadwana of Sokoto told him, Ahmadu Bello told him that we are incompatible. Awolowo said the same thing, that Nigeria is a contraption. You cannot force people to be together. They all knew that Nigeria was unworkable in 1957, 58, 59, 19. They all knew. Exactly with what is happening today, despite knowing that Nigeria was unworkable, because they are going to answer President, the Prime Minister. They will have beautiful houses in Ikoyi, in VI. They will be lording it over other people. They decided, out of expediency, to go for the rubbish that Britain created for them. And today, is India doing well? Pakistan, that is now offering to come and help the zoo to fight insurgency. I hope all of you can understand all of this. I hope you're following what I'm saying. Because in Africa, you people are not human beings. The white people, they see you, or should I say, they see you as animals. Forget all the pretense. Africa, you're part of Commonwealth. You are not. They don't have any regard for you. Do you know why? Because they created you. They made you who you are. If as a man or a woman, you're grown up, you're intelligent enough, you cannot build a country for yourself, you have to wait for a European to come all the way from Europe to build countries for you in Africa, that means you're an idiot. There is no difference between you and an animal. Absolutely no difference. It's not an insult. I'm just trying to make you... Now, put yourself in, should I say, in the position of those who are reasonable or sensible enough. Do you think that as a black man from Africa, you can go to Europe, you can go to Germany and create a country for them? Can you do it? Of course, the answer is no. If you cannot do it, then why did you allow them to come to Africa to create a country for you? After creating this country for you, half of Yoruba land is in Benin Republic. The other half is in Nigeria. One is French, one is English. And people don't feel ashamed of themselves. There is no pride. There is no shame. People are not ashamed of themselves. We are Africans and we are black people for that matter. So by nature, we are ethnocentric. We are very tribal by nature. We are not Europeans. And people may wonder, why am I saying this? Because in Europe, they don't have a village in Europe. Somebody can be born around Trafalgar Square. If you ask him, so I'm from London. And after a while, they might migrate to New Zealand or to Australia. And they start living that they have no roots.